One. Hello and welcome to Live Happy Hour for this great January 22nd, 2021. I'm your host, Andrew Barnes, and let's dive right in with our introductions today on this awesome day with Brad.
Hey everybody, my name's Brad Tilton. I am a developer advocate with a developer program here at ServiceNow. I've been developing on the platform for about 12 years. I'm pretty excited about today's episode as we get into some of the Quebec features.
Awesome. And our special guest, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Maria Gabriela Ochoa Perez Waechter. I've been alive for about 12 years, doing ServiceNow. Doing ServiceNow for about 3 or 4. It feels like an eternity. And I'm here to have some fun and learn.
Awesome. And I am Andrew Barnes, also developer advocate here at ServiceNow. And I've been in this role now for coming up on 2.5 years at ServiceNow. Previously, I've been an implementation partner and a customer a couple of times using ServiceNow with a history in teaching computer science and running enterprise application systems. And I'm just so excited. I want to get into the things, but we're going to finish with introducing our beverages of choice, starting around the horn again with Brad.
So I have an Oscar Blues 1050. It is a barrel-aged stout. Surprise. I'm excited about this beer as well.
You make me jealous every week with a barrel-aged this and a imperial stout that. And Maria Gabriela, what do you have?
I have some very expensive wine. It is a vintage 2020, about $13.50 at the store. It is called Rosado Moscato di Asti. Very fancy.
Very fancy.
In my amazing cup.
Awesome. And I have got a new flavor from something I've had on the show before, which is the Edmunds Osts sour line. And this one is a sour apple, which will be the first time I have it. And I've got a second new one for next time as well. So if you're here, you've probably heard that Quebec went early access yesterday. So our newest release in the ServiceNow family went available in the personal developer instances, as well as, in your customer instances to be available to be upgraded to Quebec. And today we're gonna dive deep into some, well, not deep, but we're definitely gonna dive into some Quebec things. Other announcements though is coming up, in a couple of months, we've got Knowledge and CreatorCon, and the call for speakers has gone out today, and I'll include that in the show's description after the show is over. But if you are watching live right now, you can go find the link pretty quickly now that you know that it's out there. But yeah, if you'd like to present at CreatorCon and show other developers, like the other people watching this show, what you've done interesting over the past year and share some of your learnings and insights with other developers, that's the place to do it. Brad and I love CreatorCon, and we always participate in that. And Gabby, you have been there alongside us at previous knowledges, producing some of the most hilarious stickers.
I'm actually really excited. I think Paige and I are going to try to do something with Women Now for this year's CreatorCon.
Oh,
awesome.
So why don't you tell us what that is?
Of course. So Paige and I created womennow.dev as a blogging resource site to not only, hi Chuck, how you doing? To not only try to bring more of a voice to women in the ServiceNow community, but to also highlight allies and other female identifying developers. And I think we still haven't decided on the topic yet, but if you guys want to read some really fun content, you should totally go to womennow.dev. Paige and I have actually been talking about doing some UI Builder stuff in the future. So I'm
Awesome.
actually editing her stuff right now.
So I'll include that in the description below as well.
Thank
So if you're
you.
watching this in the future, you'll have quick access to those two links. Brad, I know you have got something to remind us about, don't you?
Yes. So Quebec early availability is here. We're going to be, presenting and making some content around Now Experience. So that's UI Builder, components, the Now Design system. And so we'll be doing something at least once a week until general availability, and probably after on the developer blog or on this YouTube channel, starting with today's show. So I'm excited about that. And you can expect more content around that.
So in addition, you said that we're going to have some content for the Now Experience every week, but we'll also be featuring every week a different product area for developers on the dev site blog and here on our YouTube every week as well. Awesome. So with that, today, we're going to dive in and take a look at UI Builder. So if you've had a chance to look at UI Builder before, which was used to create landing pages for Agent Workspace in previous versions, so Paris and Orlando, you are about to see something that's almost completely different. Like it's not even the same thing. And so it will allow you to build workspaces and any experiences that you want on the platform, not just what we had before, which was landing pages in Workspace. And to power that, we've got a whole slew of components that are now available for you to leverage in UI Builder that weren't there before. And we're gonna dive right into that. Is there anything else that we want to discuss before we go into the share? So I'm excited to see the share, but do we have anything else? All right. Well, then, Brad, you can go ahead and start us on the screen share, and we'll dive right in.
All right. Let's go ahead and share. That is not the right. There we go. All right. We should be seeing my screen. Let me pull it in a little bit. And Andrew, tell me if I need to move something around. All right. So this is an instance that is cloned from the overall instance where we host our artifact manager. And so we've talked about our artifact manager a lot on the show. Artifact Manager is the way that we schedule and really automate how our content production works. So all of our live streams, everything gets automated through Artifact Manager. Our blogs and videos, we're bringing in some of the stuff that Chuck has done in a separate instance into Artifact Manager. So we have a lot of things in there. And one of the things that we've been asked for is an editorial calendar, so that other people can see, what it is that that we have coming up in terms of content. And so we're going to get started today on a portal for the editorial calendar. We're going to try to do a few different things, and we'll kind of see how it goes. I, on purpose, have not practiced this too much, so that hopefully we can run into some issues that you will run into in the real world. I will do this in that app. So we're going to start with UI Builder. So I can just go under Now Experience Framework. I can open up UI Builder, and we get this new UI Builder built in the Now Experience Framework. So this is a different landing page than you're probably used to if you've used UI Builder in the past. And the first thing you'll notice is that we have this My Experiences section here. And this is where you would either, this is where you would select an experience that you've created. And experiences is really the, an experience would be a portal or a workspace or something like that. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to create a new experience. And this process is a little bit tricky. It is documented, but there is kind of a tricky step here. So when I hit new experience, it's going to put me into the platform here. I'm going to hit new, and we're just going to call this Artifact Manager Portal.
Okay.
And for the path, I think I'm just going to call it. And then I have to pick an app shell UI. So we've got some different options here. The app shell kind of controls what I get along with this experience that I'm creating. So a portal app shell will give me different things than a workspace app shell will. So, if you're familiar with Agent Workspace, you have some, you've got the header on the top, and then you've got this this bar on the left that has, like, I think inbox and some other things. Whereas if you click portal, you just get a header, you don't get this thing on the left. So I think right now we have a few app shells. I would expect to see more app shells. That's not inside info or anything. I think we'll see more of them through more releases, but we're going to choose the portal app shell. And then the tricky part of this is this admin panel. So I am going to select the document here, and there will not be anything listed oh, actually, I played around with this a little early. There's a test portal, but for most of you, you will need to actually create a new document here. So this is the tricky part. And I'm going to create this new app configuration. And really all you need to do here is name it. So we're going to call this portal. I'm going to hit submit. I'll hit OK, and then we will save this. All right, so if I come back into UI Builder and refresh, I should now have an experience. And if I don't have an experience, all right. I was hoping we weren't going to run into our first issue here. So I saw a question while I'm pouring my beer here. I saw a question in the YouTube chat about being able to edit previous agent workspaces. And I believe the answer to that is no. Is no, except I think CSM may have shipped like a brand new workspace built on the new UI Builder, where I think
right, but that wouldn't be one of the old ones.
Yeah, that wouldn't be an old one. So I believe if you open up UI Builder in one of your old workspaces, it'll actually open up the old version of UI Builder. I'm like 80% sure that's the way that behaves.
You must have like some magic eyes, because knowing that you said that question's in there, I can't even find it. Oh, that was the last one. That's why I was looking for it.
Oh, I just saw it. I looked up.
Yeah, he was very fast about that.
I thought it was an older one. That's why
so that's true. Yeah, the existing workspaces from Paris and previous are going to be referred to as legacy workspaces, and then new ones that are being built and being able to be configured by UI Builder will now be just workspaces versus legacy workspaces.
All right, so we are in we're in UI Builder, we're in our experience, and the first thing I have to do is create a page. So we're going to do that. I'm going to create a new page, but there are these page templates, which are kind of nice. If I selected a page template, it would create a page for me that already has some sort of layout and component on it. But we're going to call this editorial calendar. Can I do that? No, we'll just call it editorial calendar without. I don't love that. We're going to do it though. Create. All right. So the first thing that we see are these parameters. So I can define some page parameters so that, I can say whenever this page gets rendered, if you pass something into the URL, we can use that parameter for something. And I have required parameters and optional parameters, which are fairly self-explanatory. We're not going to set any on this page. So for this page, what I want to do at its core, it's going to be a list of artifacts that are in the future and that are scheduled. And then when you click on one of those, we'll go to a form page. So that's task number one for this afternoon. And I think we will be able to do this.
Can you for the broader audience here, Brad, just give us like a couple of what these sections are that we're seeing on the screen before we dive into your task. Not, just hit them at a high level. Like, what are we seeing here?
Yeah, so this is, we've got this bar on the left here, and I have access to my pages, and then the components. So the component library, and we'll click on that in a minute. And then I have some things down at the bottom that I think we're going to get to, but this is basically, we have a data resource pane. We've got some a client state pane where I can define these client state properties for my page and then manipulate them and, do things based on those manipulations. And then I've got a client script, so I can define some scripting in my page, and then I can call that based on some different events that my components dispatch. Then on the left here, we've got kind of our page section here, which will list, pages, and then it'll list my page variants. We're not going to really get into page variants too much, but basically a page variant is it's a different, layout for my page based on an audience, basically. So I could show, one version of my page to my audience and a different version to a different audience. And,
so
I've
like
got the same URL.
The same URL can apply to different personas. Like the admin could have its own experience. A manager could have their experience, and then an end user could have their experience, and they all are the same URL, and it determines by things you set which one you get, and you as the designer get to design that page as differently of an experience as you need.
Yeah. And so the nice thing about that is I don't have to define, I don't have to put 50 things on a page and then hide a whole bunch of them based on different personas. I can just define a page for a persona and then a different page for different persona. And then down here is my page based on the content and layouts. And as we add things to pages, this will grow. But that's where I kind of see that tree of, the DOM of the page. The middle is, where I'm going to drag components into. And then on the right, we've got some configurations per components here.
Awesome. Thanks for that overview,
Yeah.
Brad.
All right, so let's get started. The first, what I want to do to start here is I'm just going to put a list on this page.
Hey,
but I'm going
Brad,
to go ahead.
Can I ask Gabby, What are you thinking?
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is your first time seeing this, right? So what are you thinking?
So the first thought is either you guys fired the old design team or everybody was excited to do something completely different, because this does not look like ServiceNow. The next part is I'm really feeling like this is almost like they went for an experience of like a default website builder. It really feels like it's more towards the less code side of things, which I'm really excited about. And it looks like you guys simplified a lot, and it looks, I am so excited that y'all have that CSS styles box in the bottom right. That looks just, it is beautiful to my heart. It is just, I'm just mesmerized right now. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it is really neat because there's a lot that you'll be able to do in UI Builder without like creating custom components. And when I think about Service Portal, like you could do a bit with just dragging widgets onto the page and changing things around. But at a certain point, if you want to do anything that's even a little bit custom, you pretty much have to build your own custom widgets. And so you go from this really low bar of entry to a pretty high bar of entry because you have to know Angular. And I think we have a good middle ground here where you're not going to have to learn a whole new language or anything, and you'll be able to do a lot of stuff in
the most
UI
important
Builder.
question, and this is what will make or break UI Builder for me. Is there jelly?
Don't be jelly.
There is no jelly.
I'm in. You got me.
There is no jelly. All right. So I'm going to start by defining a container here. And then in that container, I am going to add a component. So we have a lot of component choices. And I'm going to pause and hop over to
to one of my favorite places.
And I'm going to go reference
What's
component.
this website? I've never seen it.
And then I'm going to click Quebec. And then in the advanced search options, I have this available in UIB. So we have a number of components that are available in NPM that you can build your own components based off of. But then we also have a selector for the ones that are available in UIB. Now, if I hit search, I can see that here we have about 96 components. They have varying levels of documentation here. But if you are going in here, if you're kind of wondering what components to use and how you might use them, this is a good place to start. So I have a pretty good idea of what I want to use here. I want to use a list, and we have some different options. And I want to use a simple list. So I could use a list that has, all the bells and whistles that ServiceNow lists have. I don't really want to do that for this purpose. This is on a portal. I want to show something a little bit simpler. My users consuming this don't really need the filter and all of those things. So I add the list, and by default, I think it's pointing at task. So we're going to go ahead and change some things in the config panel. And I will, how do I pull this over so that you guys can see the whole panel?
Yeah. Oh, I can move it, but
all right.
That looks good.
I got it. All right. So all active tasks, we're going to say future artifacts. And then this is going to be on the artifact table. And then I'm going to add a filter to this. So we want artifacts where the planned publish date is in the future. Where's my relative filter? And the state is one of, no, I just want to go is not idea. I think this gets me what I want. Let's try it. So I'm going to apply it. I'm going to say max rows. It doesn't get me what I want. I don't have anything in there, but I want to show, let's show like 30 rows. And then for columns, I think that's probably good for now. So we're going to leave that. And then I've got a lot of different options here where I can, I could hide the title. And that goes away. Maybe if I wanted to, drop a title above, but we're just going to leave that for now.
Those are some really awesome options.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Why state is not idea? Are all the future states ideas? Let's just take that out then. All right. So we have all sorts of ideas
artifacts
here. Yeah. Yeah, they are all ideas. So these are, if it's an idea, that means we're not committing to writing about it. So just in case you're expecting some sort of blog on integration hub licensing. All right, so I'm going to save this and go ahead.
I might be getting ahead of us, but will there be a different view of this when you go to preview it, like in Page Builder, Page Designer, or is what I'm seeing what I'm getting?
So I'm going to hit this open button and it's going to open. It's going to open the URL and we refer to this as the runtime. And you can see that I've got this list on the page. This is where my header will be. I haven't done any header definition right now. And I don't think we're going to get to that today. But if you defined a header, this is where it would show up. So right now, I don't think anything happens if I click. So right now we are just retrieving a list of data from the database and displaying it. So if I go in here and so I can do some styling to this as well. I've got my styles panel. I don't think we're going to do that. But events is where it starts to get interesting. So this component by default has 6 different types. Go ahead.
And that first one looks like something that, as a user, when you presented me that list, I was like, it's clearly a clickable thing. Why doesn't it do anything? And it's because Brad, the developer, hasn't told it what to do when you click that. But as you can see there are already some pre-configured events that this component knows how to do something with, and then you decide which of those you're actually leverage and pass it the correct configuration for that. In this case, row clicked is the one that we want here.
Yeah. So the cool thing about this is, if we're talking about, service portal, or even we'll go back to CMS, if you put what is basically an out of the box list on a page, you don't really have a lot of control over what happens when you click on something. Like you have you can kind of define like, this is what the page looks like when it comes up. But the cool thing about this is when the row is clicked, I could do all sorts of things. What we're going to do is we're going to link to a new page. But maybe for this specific use case, I want to show the form in a modal. I could do that, instead of linking to a new page. So I have a lot more options here. If I click on the new event handler, we can see that I have some different options here. Like I could open or close a modal dialog. We are eventually going to link to a destination. I believe that is what we want here. But the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a destination. So before we get to that, we're going to create a new page. So I'm going to go get rid of that. And we're going to come over here and we are going to create a new page. And this is going to be called artifact. So this is where we're going to display our artifact form. So we actually do need some parameters for this page, right? Because we need to take in at least the sysid of the artifact. So I'm going to add a parameter that is artifact ID. So this is one of the things I really like is that it gives you some advice on how you should name things. It's telling me I should use camel case. And so I'm going to do it like this, artifact ID.
Is that advice or is it going to hold you to the fire?
That's a good, I'm just treating it like advice and not like it's making me do something. But I don't know if we had just saved that, what it would have looked like. All right, so artifact ID is our required parameter. You could make a more generic page and we could take in like the table name as well, but we're just going to take in this artifact ID. Okay, and so we're going to look for a form component. I'm going to put it in a container. And I guess before we get there, I've got some options with these containers. Like I could give it multiple columns. Yeah, I could give it multiple columns. And then I can also tell it, where do I do this? I think I can tell it which way to lay out the components, whether I want to stack them on top of each other or whether I want to stack them horizontally, but I can't remember where I do that. So we're going to make this a form. I have some different form options. Let's just choose the one that says form. So for the table, we know we want artifact. And then for the sysid, this is where we get interesting. Most of the options in the config for components have these three icons here. So the first one, I'm just hard coding something. And then the second one is what we're going to use here. And then the third one is actually a script. So I could write a script that populates this field. But we are going to use data binding. And I'm going to say, so I just hit the down arrow. And I know I have this artifact ID page property that we defined already. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm just going to leave the rest of it blank like this. And hit save. And you'll notice that one of the things, I can't open this because I have a required page parameter. But if I wanted to test it, I could. Let's do it. Let's grab an artifact. Whoop. Let's grab an artifact.
I think you're about to kill me with this feature.
And I could have just grabbed it from the list.
We've been so excited to share this that we just couldn't wait for anything past the requirement. So yesterday was the first day we got to show Quebec stuff, and today we are showing this.
Oh,
so we've been stoked.
It didn't work, so that's cool.
Well, did you put anything in the form though?
It should show something. Artifact table. We gave it a sysid. This is an artifact, right?
You do need to pick the fields, Brad.
Yeah, you didn't add any fields.
Oh, because I didn't give it a view.
Yeah.
Do we need to give it a view?
You got to do one or the other, I think.
Let me have it show something. Doesn't add something.
Well, let's just give it a field that I know is there. Can I?
Short description.
There we go.
That should show us something.
So I said at the beginning, I tried not to practice this too much so that we would run into some of the issues. So I don't know. What do we think? Nothing.
We're not getting any errors or anything.
And you're sure we don't have to click plus and add like a form field on the actual form?
So I did hit this manage form configuration. So that's maybe default view will work here. So I put in default and then this case showed up here. So that may be what we were missing. Maybe.
It's thinking. And
oh, man. All right. So what do we try here?
So when you hit plus,
what happens when you hit manage form configuration? Is that what popped up?
That gives me,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
What if you add plus? Because when you went to add the form, I saw you could physically add form fields into it. Do you have to build the form on the actual UI designer?
Yeah, so we should have some fields already in the default view.
So form field does nothing?
Where
Press
form
plus right where it says no data to display.
Oh, here?
Yes. What
Oh,
does
so
form
this
field
is
in there do?
so the pluses are adding components above or below this form component.
Yes, but there's a form field component.
Oh, a form. So I think a form field component, I can maybe specify the specific fields. That looks like it works.
So the form component doesn't work, but the form field component works.
I'm sure it works, and there's just something that we're doing that I don't know what it does. So great call. Let's go take that, and then instead of ESS, we'll go default. And then instead of incident, we'll say artifact. And then let's save it. Oh, I think this is going to work. Let's refresh. Hey, all right.
Magical.
Hey,
it worked. Good. So that looks right. So now what we need to do is we need to connect our two pages together. So we have this page pulling from the sysid, and we need to go back to our list page, our editorial calendar page, and say, hey, when I click on something, show me that page. So I think here we go.
All right. Event handler, yay.
Event handler. Oh, it's been a while since I did this. I believe we just need to do link to destination. So let's hit select destination. And then artifact looks right.
Yeah, and then now we need to tell it which data we're going to send it. Yay.
I think we want to send it payload.sysid. That sounds right. It's a sysid.
That feels awful close, but it might be payload.row, but
I think it's,
I'm going with sysid first.
So I don't know. Title. Let's see if this works first.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about this,
minimal viable.
You'll see I have this ad. So I could add multiple events on the same click. So if I wanted to do more than one thing, I could do that on the same click here. So let's hit save. And then let's test this. So here's my list. Let's see, building a no-code Twitter integration and building a no-code Twitter integration. That might have been the one we tested with. So let's try a different one. Mobile branding, and we get mobile branding. Ooh. All right.
Yeah.
So we have success on our first thing. Our
first requirement is get a list and link it up to the form. Done.
So that's a drink.
Brad, you got to take a drink.
All right, I'm taking a
drink. So that was a great adventure right there. So we got to see, we created 2 different pages already, which is awesome. We've, registered an event handler, which passes some data from one of our pages to the next page. And that's an adventure. Let's keep rolling.
All right. So I think what we want to do next is I want to show how we can use this data resource pane. And I'm going to cheat a little bit on this one because I did some pre-work. Maybe. if I can find where I did it. All right.
It's okay to cheat a little for some
So
of it.
data resource. So for this one, this is where I can say, hey, when my page loads, I want to fetch some data on the page load, and then I want to make that available to all of the components on the page. So this is a cool thing where, you know, if I was doing this in Service Portal, I would do this like in a component, and then I would, you know, have to broadcast or emit an event so that my other, I would do this in a widget, and then my
I
other
was like,
widgets could
widget?
respond to it. Widget component. It's gonna
We've
get so
converted you
confusing.
fully. You're now in the now experience saying components.
All right. So I think what we need to do is we're going to say add, and at some point I need to configure a new data. Do I go new? This is what I want. There we go. So I am going to configure a GraphQL Data Broker here.
Sounds
So
shrinky.
I am going to go over to my other window. I mean, I'm going to do this from memory.
And type really, really quickly.
And I don't have this list sorted already. Come on, that's a fail. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to have to create this GraphQL query, basically, that then I will then be able to call that from the page. So I'm not a GraphQL wizard, although I did write a pretty long GraphQL blog post. I don't remember a lot of it. So I am going
That's
to...
okay. That's part of the reason why we do the videos and write the
right.
blogs, is so we can go back and read them too.
All right, so I have this query that I created on a different page, and we're just going to modify it. So I want to get, let's say this query gets blogs. So let's call it get blog posts. And this may need to be more generic than this, to where I know I can do like multiple queries in here. But what we're going to do is we're going to define a table. So my table is artifact manager artifact. And then I need to define an encoded query here. And I think my encoded query is just going to be blog posts that are in the future. So let's say, and dates are really where encoded queries through the list really shine. So we'll say after today, let's say after yesterday. I'm going to run that, and then I'm going to copy that query, and I'm going to paste it in right here. All right, so this is my query, and then my results. So this is where I can get back, where I see what I get back. We have sysid.
So it looks like we're getting 2 fields back. Okay.
Yeah, I could get more fields back than that. Is this actually title, or is it short description? It is short description. So let's grab sysid and short description.
So wait a minute, does this, and this might be something that everybody already knows, but do you guys run the developer blog off of ServiceNow?
We do. Yes, we do.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
We do. It doesn't use, the blog does not use the Now Experience framework yet, but the rest of the site is actually built using Now Experience framework.
Yeah.
All right. I think this is all I need for this GraphQL query. I'm going to hit submit. And then in UI Builder, I should have access. They
haven't used UI Builder though for it.
So it tells me, hey, your data source has changed outside of UIB. Oh, sure. Let's update the page. I don't know if that worked, but let's see. Artifact Manager Workspace. All right, we do have something in there. We have my Get blog posts. And is that, do I have to hit new? Or is that it?
Maybe you click it and highlight it and then click off.
All That's a good. Why is it not highlighting? Do I have to scroll
it's
down?
a scroll
there's an
bar.
add button.
I hate it when it has a hidden scroll bar.
Oh, all right. Something went wrong. That's not good.
You didn't add the right data source.
Email client quick messages.
That is right. So let's try again.
That's
no,
not
that's
the
still
right
the
one. On the left column, you need to pick the right artifact
Brad's cut
manager
off.
workspace.
But it shows right here. You are right.
Brad is officially cut off.
No more imperial stouts or
Man,
barrel aged stouts for you, sir.
It is a big beer, but unfortunately, I think that's just ineptitude. So let's get rid of this guy. How do I get rid of a?
I have no idea.
We're all like
that's a good
maximized
question.
here. All right, so hopefully that doesn't mess anything up. The cool thing about this is I added the data source to my page, and it has gotten me data already. So I can look at this JSON that the GraphQL query returned and have an idea of what I'm going to get and what I can do something with. So
you can get another little bit of space to expand to the right, Brad.
Oh, cool.
So you can drag. Yeah, that's probably about it.
Throwberg says there's a trash can icon next to the add resources up at the top.
Oh, so
select it and then hit trash.
There we go.
Oh,
it's a really weird trash.
That's why we have comments. Thanks, guys.
Hang on, no wait, I'll take all the credit.
Nice. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so now we're getting some data. We should do something with it. So there are a couple of things we can do with it. Maybe we'll do more than one thing. All right, so we're getting this data. If we look at the structure, I've got data, glide record query, artifact manager artifact, and then I have this results array. I believe that is going to come in handy. And then in that array, I've got, looks like 2 objects. All right, so I'm going to minimize that. And let's put something at the top here. So let's say, so I'm going to do a couple of things. Let's say we're going to put a rich text up here.
Ooh, rich text.
And I'm going to edit this and say, how many blogs are in the future?
That's a fun question.
This is what people want to see when they come to a portal, I think. So let's add something underneath it. We could definitely make this look nicer, but what other text options do I have? Rich text, stylized text, text links. Let's see what stylized text is. All right.
You can instantly add tags and CSS from here.
Yeah, so I think stylized text basically just gives me some sort of tag, and then I put some text inside of it, and then I can style it. And so rich text is HTML. Yeah.
What's under styles?
Styles is
so just plain CSS. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's adding CSS to that component specifically.
Yep. I was just wondering if this was redundant in the styles tag, but this way to display the HTML tag is much better.
All right.
Yeah. So it's not redundant because the text has got CSS, but the component itself has CSS. So like if you want the component to have padding, for example, versus the text to have padding.
I see.
So all of the components are going to have a style choice, but only selected components would have, like this one does, a CSS in that first configuration page.
All right, so we're going to use this dynamic data binding, and we're going to try to access our data resource that we defined.
Oh, is that what that's called?
The data
dynamic data binding.
Dynamic data binding. I said that because I saw the popover.
Oh, it's a mouse over.
A lot of these terms have changed on us
they
over
have
the last few months. So
and I was like, what's our new name?
I believe I am using the correct ones. So which is good. We want to get it right. All right. So we're going to use this data get blog post output. And this is not what we're going to want, but if I just save it, let's see what shows up there. Undefined. So it doesn't like this. I need to do
My
something
best
with
friend.
this JSON. All right.
I love seeing undefined because that means at least I'm getting something.
We've got data and then glide record query. Remember, this is how our, so I'm just hitting, I'm hitting the dot. Artifact manager artifact, and then results. So this is where our array comes in. So what I want is, I think I just want to count the results.
That is a lot of undefines. Ooh.
Hey, and we got a number.
That even looks like the right number from your list.
I believe it is. Let's go back. 9. Yeah, that was my list. So we just use this to get a number, obviously. There are some components, we have 8 minutes left. So there are some components that might take in an array and display some things based on the array. So I could have passed that to, I think maybe like a card component. So, I've got a lot of options there. We have 8 minutes left. Do we want to try to do something else, or do we?
I kind of want a card component now.
All right, let's. I have not tested that one, but let's try it. What's something? So I know a card. We do have a question about adding a label to that number. So this may be. So one of the things we can do is, I cannot remember where. So we can put components in a row. We could also split this container into columns to make it look a little nicer. So yeah, we've got all of those things.
Yeah, so all 3 of these are in the same container right now.
Yeah.
And we could break them up into other containers and do some layouts with the different containers.
Yeah, so we could add a container and
bucket.
Yeah. So did we see, so Ben is watching. He says the styles tab is global CSS for that component. So you can't select something specific. I remember we were talking about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so are we able to easily access parameters from the URL to pass in a custom component? So that was the URL was when we looked at that artifact. We have those page parameters.
Yep, and we can define those right there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the required and optional ones.
And then what we did for this one was we took that page parameters as a page property and defined it here.
So I don't know, can we add some text in front of that data? I think we can, right? So you can put more than one thing in that field for the text, right? So
I'm not sure. Let's try it. I'm not sure we can. I think we may need 2 separate components to do this, or a script, right? So we could have defined a script.
Oh, maybe, yeah, return.
Yeah, so we definitely could do it in a script, but I don't think, well, let's see.
There we go. Oh,
yeah, so
it
it's
doesn't
angry.
like that.
Okay.
Maybe in quotes?
Oh yeah, I guess I don't think it's whoa.
Oh.
What did I do?
Yeah, it does not like
so
that.
mad. It's like, hey, stop trying this. So one thing that we can do real quick that it may be helpful is, let's say, this always helped me in like Angular to be able to do this, but so we're going to put put this input box in, and then I want to define a client state parameter. and we'll call this input box. And we'll say it's a string, and initial value is going to be hello. And I don't know if I have to be saving all the time like this, but that's just what I do.
We like to save things in builders.
So for events, let's say, how did I do this before?
What are you trying to do?
I was just going to show kind of how you can write a value to a page property and then use that somewhere, because that's a fairly helpful thing to do. And now that I'm thinking that's helpful, so this is how we would do it. We would update the client state parameter. And I defined that input box parameter.
Okay.
And it's got this value. Can I state input box? That's our parameter.
Yeah.
Payload value looks right. So
and that should be the value that we're passing from the input.
Yeah, and then we can just say, what was that? No. Where's my, did I miss my rich text? I did. All right, let's do another stylized text underneath. And we'll bind this to the state property. It says hello. So if we test this page, it did not like it. Why did it not like my page?
Give it a hard refresh.
The Zoom window's in the way. It did not like something that I just did.
It is angry at you.
Do you need no
input box string hello? That wasn't it. Maybe I got to value. Do I have to bind the value to it? What if I mess with it here? No. It's not going to like that. We'll fix that. So I'm going to write this episode up in a blog post that's going to come out next week as kind of an intro to UI Builder, and I'll make sure we get that figured out before then. But
well, that was pretty exciting, Brad. I think it's a good wrapping up point there.
All right, I will.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Stop the share.
Why are we not in the right spots? There we go. All right. Now we're in the right spots. Well, that was so much fun, Brad. And I'm so excited we got to show Quebec things. And we are going to show a lot. There are a lot of features in Quebec for developers. UI Builder is going to be one that we, as Brad said at the start of the show, we're going to be focusing, some content on, every week for the next 8 weeks on UI Builder, because there's just so much to learn there. But there is a lot of other exciting things in Quebec, and we'll be highlighting those over the coming weeks. And that was just too much fun. And I don't know how long I'm going to be able to hold in my favorite one, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. But I did record it on the podcast today that's going to be released in about 10 days with Chuck Tomasi's Breakpoint podcast. We recorded that this morning, and I talked about my favorite new thing that wasn't UI Builder in Quebec. Pretty extensively there. So, and we'll have it on the show in the future. Anything else that we need to remind the folks before we get into rating our beers?
I'll just throw out another reminder to the CreatorCon call for speakers. We're going to put that in the show notes. But if you have a good idea for a session We're doing some, hopefully shorter sessions, hopefully some good live sessions with some Q&A. So, anything you have, if you have a friend, you guys want to do one together, that'd be great. So look for that, fill
really
it out.
Cool. I didn't mention it, but if you haven't noticed previous shows, you'll see that I use the pictures from the city that the family releases. And so yesterday I had to switch to my Quebec rotation of pictures. And this one's not actually from me in Quebec. In Paris, other than this one, it was the first time I didn't have pictures of that I took from those cities because I've never been to Paris. I've been to France, but not Paris. But Quebec is so exciting. I'm just so excited. I can't contain it all. Even though I am wearing an Orlando shirt, I can add a little Q like right there to make it Q. That was awesome, Brad. Thank you so much for showing us that. And we'll see more of this in the future. But for now, tell us, how was your beer, sir?
This was a good beer. This is that Tin Fitty barrel-aged stout. I'm going to give it a solid 4.5. It was really good.
Nice. And Gabby, how was your delicious super reserve wine?
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
11 out of 10, tastes just like grape juice.
Nice.
That is awesome. And my sour apple Edmund's Oast, it was quite good. This is probably the second best one I've had from them.
Ooh.
This is a 4.75.
Wow. That's serious.
It's serious business when I go above a 4. It's serious business. This is really good. Man, they're 5. I can never get my hands on any of them, but man, this is good. So that was really great. Thank you everyone for joining us live. And for those of you watching it in the future, we appreciate you coming and visiting us here and any of our other information at the developer site and the developer blog. Let us know what you think. You can put comments here on this. You can come see us on the developer blog and put comments there. You visit us in Slack, the SNDev Slack. We hit us in Twitter. We like to hear from you, the developer, especially those that are watching this show. You are close to our hearts, and we hope that you're doing well. And with that, I hope everyone has a great day. And for those with us right now, have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.
Everybody.